Do two wrongs make a right, Scott?
Well, the implication that I don't support the Constitution that you made notwithstanding.
I did not say that.
Accuse me of being an
He's
original.
just famous for being a constitutional originalist.
Here's what I think. If Democrats like Slotkin are going to come out today and whine about selective prosecutions over Tish James, her entire career is built on the selective prosecution of one man. Now, I also believe what Elliot said. There's a process here. Everybody gets their day in court. Obviously, a grand jury saw enough evidence to bring charges. We don't know what they are, but a grand jury looked at this and says, okay, there's something here. She gets to go to court just like Comey, just like anyone else. But to me, it's just not going to fly to boo-hoo over selective prosecutions on this particular person who promised in her campaigns, who went after him on things, as Jonah said, that had no business ever happening, if not but for the man's last name being Trump. So I'm not going to.
How is that not a two wrongs make a right argument?
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying she gets her day in court. I'm saying a grand jury saw enough evidence to bring charges, and I'm saying she gets to go to court and tell her side of the story, and then we'll see what happens. But I'm just arguing the political debating issue here. Democrats are going to say, this is the first time we've ever had somebody go down the road of selective prosecutions on her. Yeah. Give me a break.
No, I agree with that.
And this explains why the Democratic Party has a 20% approval rating. The entire thing is defined about, well, if Trump is for it, we're against it.
Right.
The problem is a lot of the things he's for are really popular. In fact, most of the things he wants to do have popular support. So if you define yourself on the wrong side of all these issues, especially the 80-20 issues, you're going to wind up closer to 20 than 80. And that's what's happened to them. Boys and girls sports.
Yes.
Boys and girls locker rooms. And they can't get off of it today. They've learned all the wrong lessons from the last election. That issue right there prevents them from having conversations with a huge chunk of America.
Huge chunk.
If I can't trust you not to put a boy in a teenage girl's locker room, how will I ever listen to your plan for taxes and the economy?
Right.
I will not, because I've already concluded you're a lunatic. I think a lot of women, a lot of moms, I think a lot of moms who would have previously thought of themselves as center-left, maybe mostly vote Democrat, on that issue right there, and they've got daughters trying to play high school sports, or they aspire for their daughters to maybe play college athletics, they are not interested in them competing against boys. They're not interested in boys being in the locker room, and they're not interested in being told to shut up about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at these school boards, these school systems, treating the parents like they're the problem when they say, well, wait a minute. You mean my daughter has to get spiked in the face by a volleyball? That's not fair. It's so hard. It's so just politically stupid for them.
What's up, guys? I hope you're going to have a wonderful weekend. At the time of me recording this video, I'm probably at work grinding away. But I wanted to point out why Democrats lose. I think this is the third video. I'm sorry, guys. I just want America to have a better politics. And I think politics is better when we only argue on the policies, weighing the pros and the cons of each approach. And these solutions are catered to the interests of the American people. I think that's when I'm going to start complaining about Democrats. But until then, complain I shall do. So as you saw from the intro, I gave some snippets about some of the things I agree with for one of the main reasons Democrats lose: the double standards, right? You're doing selective justice, right? You want to hold no one's above the law for Donald Trump, but then when no one is above the law applies to you, you want to cry foul. Right? We have this lady called Katie Porter who's running for governor of California. And oh boy, she does not look good here. Let me play a little clip.
Need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, man?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60%.
Like rude. Why would I even need? I don't even need them to win. And she gets flustered and even annoyed. And there's videos of her that makes her even look worse than this. Right, where a staffer was trying to confirm for her a fact, and she said, "What the F are you in my shot?" I'm like, "Okay, lady, damn." And I'm like, I could. God bless people who date liberal women like this. I'm not gonna say that's all liberal women, but proving those stats about mental health and emotional distress. Yeah, you're proving them things very true. And these are some of the things. They're just not likable. For the most part, a lot of these Democratic politicians, And it seems like they live in a different reality than everyone else, right? And I think another touch point I always talk about in these videos, especially when I'm critiquing the Democratic Party, and I'm sure someone's going to get mad in the comments, say, Kenny, why you don't do videos like this for Republicans? Right now, Republicans are more popular than the Democratic Party right now. So, I mean, there's not much you can fault them. The most I can fault Republicans for is the fact that I don't think they're doing enough, right? They're not pushing their agenda enough, right? So it's not something I can really complain about them strategically, because strategically, I think they're doing everything they can to push and help Donald Trump's agenda. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene doing what she's doing right now is not a good look. But end of the day, as an American, I appreciate, someone in the Republican ranks criticizing her own side and trying to force them to, give better outcomes for the American people, because that's the core of where I'm really at. I'm not really, a diehard conservative. Everything the conservatives do is right. But I am saying that for the betterment of America, I believe most of the time Republicans' policies, Republican approach is better for America in the long term. That's just my opinion. You can have yours in the comment section below. But I want to play a couple clips. One, I'm going to talk about Trump derangement syndrome. I think that's one of the main reasons that you've seen. And Trump derangement syndrome and blind anti-Trumpism is kind of the core problem, the core virus for why Democrats don't make sense. And I think one of the reasons why they have such a low approval rating, especially with middle America and non-Democrats. Let's take a look.
This morning before I came in here, somebody showed me a TikTok video of a pregnant woman at 8 months pregnant. She is an associate professor at the Columbia Medical School, and she is saying F Trump and gobbling Tylenol with her baby in her placenta. And the level of Trump derangement syndrome has now left the political landscapes, and it is now in the realm of pathology. And a mother could overwhelm millions of years of maternal instinct to put her baby at risk. And
when Trump sits down and says, hey, if you want my help, I'm more than willing to give it to you because the streets are not safe in various parts of this nation. I have been on the record stating that while I'm sure crime exists everywhere, I'm from the streets of New York City. Hell, it exists here. I'm sure it exists in Memphis and Portland and L.A. and stuff like that. I get that part. Chicago has always been a special scenario for me because Obama was in office as a junior senator. He was in the Capitol as a junior senator. It was going on then. It was going on before then. It was going on when he got there. Mm-hmm. It was going on when he was the president of the United States. It was going on when he departed and Trump was there his first term. It was going on with Biden, and it's still going on. And I don't believe, and I don't care what the data says, I don't care what kind of numbers they try to throw out at us. It has always, if you are a black person, you cannot deny how disturbing it repeatedly is that most often when you hear about violence, particularly in the streets of America, never escapes you that Chicago is always mentioned. And little to nothing has been done about it from a national perspective. So what you find yourself saying is, on one hand, Governor Pritzker, I don't agree with Donald Trump trying to send National Guardsmen to Chicago against your will. But I would also ask Governor Pritzker, why isn't it in your will to ask the feds for assistance? Because it appears like you've needed it.
See, when I talked about voting for Kamala Harris, I wasn't excited about her. And as far as I'm concerned, she didn't earn it because she didn't go through a primary. And the Democrats talking about a threat to democracy, shut the hell up. I don't want to hear that. Because you didn't care about that when you circumvented the democratic process to make sure that the vice president, the former vice president, would be able to bypass the Democratic primary and go straight to the Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States. You could have got Joe Biden out earlier, but you didn't do it because you wanted her there, because it was her turn. In 2016, when Hillary had competition, Hillary Rodham Clinton, it was her turn. When Biden was getting smoked in the primaries before Representative Clyburn came and saved the day, it was his turn. That's my problem with the Democrats.
Hey, Stephen A. Smith been making a lot of sense. Look, I don't care about your political persuasions. If you make sense to me, I'm going to play you. If you don't make sense to me, I'm going to play you and then tell you why you don't make sense to me. I'm being honest. I'm very open about my bias. I believe everyone has one. But I believe that if you're more honest about it, you're more upfront about it. I believe you give people an accurate, you give a people an opportunity to accurately disseminate the information that you're giving them, right? And I think this is one of the things that hurts and trips up the mainstream media, because when they get, a Democrat, I talk about it all the time. Majority of journalists are aligned with the left. They're leftists, self-identified leftists. Only 3.5% of the journalist industries have Republicans in it, right? So the bias disproportionately favors the left. And you're going to see another reason why the Democratic Party has such a low approval ratings, because Hakeem Jeffries himself, I think he has a 25% approval rating, lower than Trump, right? Give me any singular Democrat and they'll have a lower approval rating than Donald Trump, right? And I like the segment where Stephen A. Smith was getting mad about it's your turn now. Okay, it was Hillary's turn. It's Biden's turn. Now it was Kamala's turn. And then in my head, I said, now it's Gavin Newsom's turn. It's so funny. But I think that's one of the reasons why Democrats lose, is that they try to, I don't know. There's too much like you needing permission for other people to run. It's not like the best candidate win. I think the last time the best candidate win was when Obama was running. After that, it's just been like, I'm going to annoy you. I'm going to annoy you. We can make history with her. We can make history with her. Craziness. But without further ado, I want to, talk about the shutdown stuff, because I think one of the number one reasons, second to their Trump derangement syndrome, second to their blind anti-Trumpism, reactionary stance, it's the fact that they can't make an argument that makes sense. Because when you really scrutinize, you really push back some of the narratives they try to craft, it don't hold any water. And I think you're going to see a great example of this, because I believe this is one of the most embarrassing, because, I already did a video. Hakeem Jeffries embarrassed himself trying to, create some narrative with or against this Republican on the floor. But this, it's a murder, guys. I'm telling you. And I'm going to let it play out. I'm not really going to do too much talking, because I believe it's self-evident. The main problem with the Democratic Party, it's leadership. Let's take a look.
Government open and then going into the normal appropriations process. I mean, there was an election, and the Republicans were put in a position where they were able to pass the big, beautiful bill, or you call it the big, ugly bill. To then say, we don't like any of that, so we're going to shut down the government until you take back all the things that you duly passed through legislation. If Republicans had tried to do that to the Inflation Reduction Act or any of the acts that Biden and that administration have passed, if they said, we're going to shut down the government because we don't like any of those things you did, we're going to not pay our military, we're going to, not allow the government to reopen until you do what we want. After an election where the American people put Democrats in power, you'd be going crazy. You'd be going crazy about using a shutdown of the government with a continuing resolution to get what you want just because you don't like what the Republicans did. It's not how it works. It's bad. It's bad precedent, and it's just clear. And you're talking about the House.
Yeah, so now you get the setup, because it does look bad. Like, how do you spin that? And the fact that you don't take ownership and you can't, it's not even for a good cause, right? And this is why the framing of, oh, it's for illegals. Oh, because we want healthcare. Why you need healthcare costs? Because the healthcare cost is more expensive in blue states, because blue states are allowing illegals to be on their Medicare system, on their government program system, which means you have an added expense compared to other states that don't accept illegals in their healthcare system. That's why I need the money. And then you try to make these excuses, you craft these narratives, but Americans ain't buying it, because we see how hard you're fighting for them in Chicago, making it an ICE-free zone. We see examples of it during 2021, 2023, when you hear illegals bragging about how they're getting a bunch of government programs. You saw online, in the internet, Americans complaining about how, hey, illegals are getting $10,000 food stamps and all this nonsense in New York, to the point that Eric Adams himself had to do something about it to make some adjustments. People saying, hey, we see a lot of illegals living in these fancy hotels based on the federal government giving them money to house them. Illegals being flown across the country, across the state, can't speak no English, but gives you a piece of paper, and you're like, oh, you're supposed to be in this flight. Make it make sense. But you crying about ICE. You cry, oh, this is the Republicans shutdown. No, Republicans are the most one voting for the CR. We only need 7 Democrats to vote for it. And you trying to put all the blame on Republicans? You could put some blame on Republicans. Sure, I'll give you that. You could put some blame on Republicans, but you have to put most of the blame on the Democratic Party because they only need 7 people. 7. But you want to go with this narrative? Oh, Republicans called the presidency, the House, the Senate. Yeah, it's called you have no leverage. How you think they got that way? How you think they got there? And you stab your feet like spoiled children and expect it to get your way. It's crazy, but let's see his response.
You've already passed this. The Senate is who we're talking about, and they have a bill which will reopen the government right now with 5 more Democrats.
What is bad precedent is the Republican refusal to engage in bipartisan negotiations. What is bad precedent is the Republicans embarking on a my way or the highway approach from the very beginning of this Congress. Republicans can...
Hey, my way or the highway approach. The pot calling the kettle black? The pot calling the kettle black. That's what y'all doing. Every accusation is a confession from the Democratic Party. You heard it here first.
Control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Joe, you're exactly right. So if the government shuts down, they've made the decision to shut the government down. And they can reopen it right now if they chose to.
The irony is lost on him, guys. Literally. The guy can just replay what he said right back to him. And that's probably what's going to happen to him. Because this is funny.
With a rule change in the Senate. But I just explained it. The reality is they want to keep the government closed. Cruelty from the very beginning of this administration has been the point. And the responsible thing to do is to sit down and negotiate a bipartisan path.
Donald Trump would not be in the position to do what he's doing, where he's furloughing 50% of the IRS, right? Conservatives are praising that. Most of America don't agree with that. I think most of Americans want the government open, right? But this is helping the conservatives push their agenda. Conservatives have been wanting to balance the budget for a long time. And Democrats hand them an olive branch, hand them a golden goose, a golden opportunity without them having any of the blame. Because in the day, the one who set them up to be able to do all this stuff was you and the Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries. So was this a secret cabal? You and Donald Trump worked something out where you like, hey, we're going to vote. All of us except 1 or 2 people on the Republican side are going to vote for this bill. And you guys, your rally, don't vote against the CR. Don't vote for the CR. So that way the government shut down and we were able to cut down the government. You guys take the blame, but hey, we get to cut down the government, okay? Was there some secret backroom conversation that we were not aware of, Hakeem Jeffries? Oh, no? So it's your fault this is happening. So you made a mistake. And what? It's been over a week. And you had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to pass a CR so the government stays funded. But no, it mattered to you that much that you want to be able to subsidize your sanctuary cities to handle the burden of allowing illegals to use your healthcare system in your local and state government. That's the reality. Political interest. Now, I know your political interest. So now make it how this is good a benefit for the American people. We're waiting. And that's one of the biggest reasons why Democrats have a 20% approval rating. Because none of their policies, it's like you can make the argument how it aligns with Democrats' interests, Democrat voters' interests, but you can't make it sense of a non-political American. You can't make it make sense to a middle of the road American. But I digress. Let's let this video wrap up.
Forward to address a very real healthcare crisis that's upon us right now. Open enrollment starts
can you
on
do
November
that? Can you
1st.
do those negotiations while the government is reopened? I think that's the offer that's been on the table. We did hear the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, talking about how, look, he passed a clean CR. There's not really much for him to politic in because there's nothing to take out. Any Republican pork that they pushed into this to take out of it to offer as a way of getting around this. Can you reopen the government and have these conversations if there's a willing party on the other side, which it sounds like there is if you talk to some of the Republicans who see this as an issue in their district as well?
Well, certainly Marjorie Taylor Greene has made clear that it's a very real issue. It's an issue that Republicans have ignored throughout this year, and it's an issue that needs to be addressed right now. Mike Johnson has made the representation, including at that White House meeting that we had last week, after Chuck Schumer and I reached out to demand that we have the conversation. Unfortunately, it took place literally a day before the government shut down because Republicans have refused to engage in bipartisan negotiations.
Trying to pass the buck. Trying to pass the buck, but end of the day, who's holding the blame? Democrats. Come on. There's so many angles you can go with this story. Like, why put yourself in this position when in March Chuck Schumer laid out the risk, the possible risk? Like, from March, there's no excuse from the Democratic Party that they didn't see this coming. If we let March, this is Chuck Schumer in March. If we let Donald Trump shut down the government, he's going to use it to gut the government, and we can't let that happen. Chuck Schumer said that in March. And now you're acting surprised. Oh my God, this is Trump's fault. This is Trump's fault. No. You made the choice too, Democrats. You cannot control what the Republicans do, but you can control how you respond. So how you chose to respond, Democrats? Vote no against the CR. A clean CR. And then you say, oh no, it's a dirty CR. Ask question about the dirty CR. How is it a dirty CR? You just want to look good against your vote, look good for your voters. You just want to look like you're opposing Trump. And this is why you're in the situation you're in today. And I knew this was going to happen. They nowhere near opening this government. Oh, maybe they'll surprise me. I think it was going to go at least a month, but we'll see. We'll see how long the Democrats can last, because I don't think the Democrats got it in them to last a month now. Now I'm really looking at it, especially when I'm looking at the public sentiment on X, right, around, my workplace, around my block, around my community. I'm getting a sentiment that no one's really seeing it the Democrats' way. But I could be wrong. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me on the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.